What's up, everybody? I'm back, and this time I've brought players and people with me to make sure that we're going to get this anger out fully. I say players, the players in our Team Anfield agenda. Mr. Paddy Murphy, Kyle, how are we, gentlemen? Look, loads to go through. I'll ask you both individually for certain things in the game, but beforehand, just want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Surfshark, app or web browser extension, which allows you to browse the internet entirely anonymously and unlock the world's biggest selection of Netflix libraries, including the USA and Japan. Or if you're me and Paddy, maybe a little bit of porn. I said nothing. Surfshark secures your data with industry-leading measures, including uncrackable encryption and the most secure VPN protocols. Easy to install. All of your devices can run with one single subscription. You can get 83% off in 3 months absolutely free by clicking on our link in the description or using the code Anfield Agenda at checkout. Right. Who to go to first? Paddy, mate, your initial thoughts after the game, and then we'll go through all the major incidents. But you just have your say, mate. Let it all out off your chest.
Embarrassing. Not good enough. There's so many bad performances. I can't really. It was just terrible. Alisson, I love the man, but Jesus Christ, today those two goals in particular, the Zuma one or whatever, but even that one, like, just very. I don't know what happened to him today. All over the place, and it was just from the get-go, from that first goal, it was just Liverpool weren't great at all. They couldn't break West Ham down at all. But like, it's going to be a case of everyone's going to be like, Liverpool were so bad. West Ham were solid as well. They're very defensively strong. That the back four on the way the two Souček and Royce just sit there. It was just a horrible game. I can't remember the last time we played so poorly. But it would have been towards the end of last season. But yeah, absolutely shocking stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle, look, it's right to give West Ham credit. Absolutely. You know, fair play to them. Showed up, got the game. And what shocked me, mate, is they played on Thursday away in Europe. They were the ones that travelled, and we were the ones that looked leggy.
It's just, I'm trying to dig myself out of this because I'm in such a negative mindset right now. But you got to give West Ham credit. They stuck to their game plan, and they came out ready to, excuse me, can I swear?
You work away.
They came out ready to fucking play. They were there to play. They were pushing us around. Alisson, first corner of the game, was still asleep. He's letting Antonio and Ogbonna just climb all over him, man. Your job is, you can use your hands, Alisson. Get to the damn ball. Oh my God, I needed to get that out. But West Ham.
You know what got me, Kyle, on that? While we're talking about Alisson, look at the third goal. Antonio's bent down in front of him, getting a bit of air, and he's his hand on his back. He's not even looking at where the ball's going. It's coming over his head, and Zuma's in unchallenged. And by the way, Zuma heads it through Alisson's hands, inexplicably. That's as a keeper, that's your domain. That's your domain.
Exactly. And more to that, on the third goal, Trent was ball watching. The definition of ball watching at the far post. He didn't even look. No one was marking Zuma, but Trent was at the far post just looking at the ball. Zuma comes right in front of him and heads it right past Alisson. All right. But the breakaway goal, Alisson, he got two hands on it. It goes right through him.
Who is this gobshite? It's not about Alisson, you twats. Look, princess, I'm a former fucking keeper. I speak with authority in this position. And that was goalkeeping 101. That's your area. You were taught, clear everything. Man, ball, your teammates, opposition teammates. And as Kyle very eloquently said, you get to use these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's honestly, I think Alisson was the biggest area for me that kind of pissed me off. But when they got a chance on the break, after we were done probing and putting whatever we could into the box, and they got it clear, 1, 2, 3 passes at most, and they were off countless times throughout the game. Just in the channels, taking on our fullbacks who were too far up the pitch. I got to say, Robertson he was like a non-factor today. I think he had one good chance creation with the first time ball into Mane, and Mane right at Fabianski. But other than that, man, I don't think anyone played exceptionally well today, except for maybe Origi and Van Dijk in the first half. But again, I'm always going to go back. West Ham played exceptional today. They really came out and stuck to their game plan, and they deserve the 3 points. I'm sorry for y'all that don't want to hear it, but I really do think West Ham deserved the 3 points today.
I agree. I full credit to West Ham. No arguments for me, no bitching, no excuses, no crying. They deserve the win. Paddy, did you think, because I seem to be split in our live chat, on the first goal, was there any foul there for you?
Initially, your reactions, oh, you're hoping so, and you're saying, yeah. Well, honestly, I don't think so. I just think it's down to Alisson just not commanding his area enough, and he just gets out. It doesn't even look like there's contact. Like it doesn't. I think it's fair enough that was given as a goal. Alisson needs to be coming out stronger and just clearing it away. Like he kind of just invites that on. I think Ogbonna's only going for the ball, but it really was just on. And I know, as Kyle was saying, Robertson. I thought Robertson was absolutely woeful today. Going forward, in particular, he only don't put one good ball into the box the whole game. And I just think we've become so bloody predictable. It's so predictable, and we don't have a backup plan. We don't have a plan B. West Ham were nullifying our attack at every opportunity. I thought Jota initially in the first half was kind of the only one that looked kind of promising. He looked like he could get on the end of something, but we were just too one-dimensional. We're trying to do the same shit, and West Ham had our card marked, and we had no answer to that. And yeah, it was just dire. It really was.
Another quick incident that seemed to split the fan base again, Kyle, was the Cresswell challenge on Jordan Henderson. Now, I've been sent still images of it, and I don't like looking at still images of an incident because I don't think it gives full context.
Yeah,
I think, mate, if we start worrying about challenges like that and giving red cards, I think we're making it a non-contact sport. For me, I don't, just my opinion, I don't think Cresswell had any case to answer there, myself.
Yeah, I on my live stream I was talking about it. I didn't think it was a red. I think it could have been a yellow just because the studs were up and it hit his knee. But you also got to look at, I think Cresswell, he won the ball, but he also rolled over the ball, I think. So he kind of like got carried into that challenge a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. He could have given a yellow card and no one would have been mad about it, but I really don't think it was a red. I don't know. It's just one of those 50-50 ones. That's how I felt about the Alisson mistake too. I felt it was very 50-50. You could have said it was a foul, but ultimately Alisson wasn't really impeded because Ogbonna, who was the one who made contact with him, wasn't even looking at him. He was going for the ball. The
telling factor for me there, Kyle, and I agree with Joe there, that's why I brought up the super chat, was we are entitled. That's exactly the right word. We almost felt like, how dare you do this? That has to be a free. Just going on what you're saying, Kyle, looking at Ogbonna, he doesn't back in to Alisson, stands his ground, and if anything, the only impediment came from Jota. That had a little push in there. I don't know if anyone noticed that. That seemed to put Alisson maybe a little bit off balance, but I don't feel like they did that wrong. I think they just wanted it more than us, and Alisson didn't command his area.
Absolutely. And
look, Alisson does have credit in the bank. Absolutely. He's been through a difficult time as a man, as a family man. Got to take that into consideration. But we can't just not criticize them when they do things wrong. We have to.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I also saw Alisson do what he should have done on the first goal later in the game, where he just pushed Antonio away from him. That's all you got to do. Like, you got to be careful, obviously, because you don't want him to flop and then win a penalty. But get him off you, bro. Like, you're allowed to do that. Like, get them away from you if they're crowding you. I don't know. You can look at it a bunch of different ways, but go ahead.
At what point, Paddy, do we start reevaluating the negative impact of our insistence to play our fullback so high up the pitch? Because every time West Ham got the ball today, the option was there to spring a quick attack, play it over the top into the channel to Antonio. And we're suspect, mate, when the worst part of it all is teams don't even have to work that hard to turn over possession because we'll give them the ball.
Yeah, the amount of times they were just giving the ball straight back. Now listen, like the way in the prime of this team, like Robertson and Trent attacking the way they do is just poetry in motion. It's truly beautiful, but there is space to be won in behind, and West Ham had so many chances today. Antonio was clear through on goal, and only for him fumbling his touches, he could have easily slotted it in. And it just pains me that there's no plan B. And coming into this game, like West Ham are a good team. Like I predicted a draw. I wasn't coming in here thinking we had any reason to win. West Ham, they bullied, as you said before we cut on, they bullied us off the pitch. They bullied us. Big, brute, physical team. Souček, big fella. Rice, same. All there, just bully their team, and not in a negative way. They bullied it, like within the rules. We just didn't look up for it today, or didn't look at it at all, and it took us about half an hour to get going into the game. From minute one, as we discussed, just off it, and that set the tone for the game. That sets the tone for game. Like that West Ham played for it. Then after that, once they went 1-0 up, they started doing the shithouse stuff. Ogbonna was acting the bollocks, like so. Yeah, I'm so sad and angry.
I say the same thing whenever I speak about football, and I say fans will forgive a lot if they see effort and if they see a match in the intensity of the opposition. That's what got me annoyed today, Kyle, because as Paddy said, it was at times like men against boys.
Yes. I mean, the physicality, they had it. We didn't. And I don't think there was any urgency when there should have been. I mean, we were playing the ball backwards in the 88th minute when we're trying to get a goal back. We're playing the ball backwards. We're kind of just, looking around for a ball, giving it to Thiago. Thiago playing with a little bit of urgency, trying to push forward, trying to find something, Origi coming on with urgency. That's what bothers me the most. I would rather see effort in those times when we're really, I don't care if we're trying to get a draw. You can say, we shouldn't even be battling for a draw. We should have won this game. The fact of the matter was we were down 3-1. Okay. You're down 3-1. You put in effort. I don't care how entitled you are, who you are, what team. You battle until the final whistle. And I just felt like that wasn't quite there. I felt like we almost checked out a little bit. And also, man, Mane, can I just touch on that for a second? Mane's got to finish that, bro.
Yeah.
Mane's got to finish that, man.
That's a sitter.
Trent just put it on a golden platter for him. And you got to finish that, Mane.
And because we don't want to be battling for a draw against West Ham, but because we were 3-1 down, had we have got a draw, that would have felt very nice.
Right. Exactly.
It would still be papering over the cracks, though, wouldn't it? It would have been another one we got away with.
Right. And we would be talking about the same stuff we're talking about now. We would have just been in a little better of a mood. Yeah.
It just that Mane chances he needs to be scoring that. But again, people are going on in my chat saying, "Oh, unbeaten streak gone." Nobody cares about unbeaten streak. It doesn't matter. The points, you know what I mean. You get 1 point for a draw. We've already lost. We've already drawn 4 games, and now we have a loss. We've dropped so many needless points. Like, you know what I mean? It's really
here's the thing that annoys me. Going into the last 2 weekends, City, Chelsea have dropped points, and we haven't capitalized. That's the real frustration for me, because I look at that league table now. You guys can see it there. Chelsea 26 points, Man City 23, West Ham 23, and we're clinging into the Champions League place on 22 points. 4 points, I think, maybe ahead of Arsenal. Arsenal. Two. Is it two only? Two fucking points ahead of Arsenal.
Shame. Absolute shame.
Do you know our goal difference is +20? Arsenal's is 0. It's mad. How have we not capitalized more?
At what point do we talk about the fact we are just conceding way too many goals? And we've got ourselves out of trouble a few times this season without scoring teams. But at some point, we have to have a conversation about why we are conceding so many goals.
This is good. Yeah.
I mean, today it's clear. I mean, I feel like today it was on Alisson for 2 of them. I mean,
even the third one, man.
Yeah. I mean,
he didn't cover himself in any glory today. But we're not here slandering Alisson, but we've dealt with a lot as Liverpool fans with goalkeeper mishaps. Alisson is a world-class goalkeeper, but he just had a day to forget. And sometimes maybe that happens. We're not going to barter Alisson for this. It's tough, but even that Fernalds one, the second one, I've seen Thiago coming on. I got excited. Lovely. That's what I'm waiting for, Thiago. And then right then we concede. It's just so fucking typical. Could have been a totally different scenario if Alisson just didn't have fucking Walker's crisp hands for that goal.
So the big team selection decision today was obviously Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain starting ahead of Thiago. Now, I think Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain did okay, particularly in the first half. I thought that he covered Robertson quite well, making a few challenges on Jared Bowen, stopping counter attack. Second half, not as impactful for me, but I was absolutely shocked that we pay Thiago 200 grand a week and he's getting splinters on his arse. He got his little warm up during the week. He got his 20 minutes. Yeah. If anyone's not able to start a game, I don't think they should even be on the bench personally.
No, exactly.
So what do we feel about the team selection, lads? And did he have any other options? And is it good enough that he may not have had other options?
Listen, if he's fit enough to be on the bench, he's fit enough to start. As you said, he got his little dress rehearsal in the midweek, so he should have been fit enough to start against West Ham. He was on the bench, so clearly Klopp thinks he's able to play. Why not start him? And if then after half an hour, maybe if after the fact he's not ready, he's not fit enough, just he's got his time in. But in that way, we would have started the game in a better position. And don't get me wrong, Oxlade-Chamberlain had a decent game, an okay game. It was fine. Thiago Alcantara is a world-class footballer who would have been able to provide a lot more. But yeah, it's a worrying, it's a weird decision. All right, it's definitely a weird decision.
On the midfield, Kyle, what worries me is a lot of the time in games we do well, we're almost bypassing our own midfield. And in games when we're forced to battle in, when teams sit back and defend a bit deep against us, when we're forced to use our midfielders in a creative way, there's not much there. There's not many options.
Yeah, no, they broke down our midfield, as I said before, countless times. It just seemed like our press, like they were reading the press too well. And as soon as we pressed, they just did a 1-2 and they're out. Like Jared Bowen's goal, breakaway goals, that's a perfect example of what happened. Going back to the midfield selection with Ox, I actually appreciate that Klopp started Ox, given his performance against Atletico. That shows me that Klopp isn't playing favorites. He's all right, look, you played well. I'm going to give you an opportunity to play. You're going to start. Thiago, you're going to come off the bench. You're coming back from an injury. Of course, Thiago could have started, probably should have. But I respect that Klopp put Ox in there as a result of how he played. That just shows me, and it shows the rest of the team, that he's going to give you a chance if you're playing well. But that's me being an optimist. I don't think Ox was the worst player on the field by any stretch of the imagination, but I also don't think he was particularly great. But, we'll see what Klopp decides going forward. I think, Thiago definitely needs to start, next game whenever he's available.
Here's what gets me about the fullbacks as well, Paddy. It's all very well and good and I think Trent is doing enough positive stuff going forward to justify being given a bit of leeway with the space that's been left in behind. But on the other side, I don't see it with Robbo at the minute. 4 or 5 times today he was pulling balls back, and it must have been a tactic to pull them back to the edge of the penalty area, and there was nobody there, and he just wasn't connected. Whereas Costas seems to have a bit more about him at the minute in that area. Would that be fair?
I've been saying it for months about Costas, and I love Robbo, but there's this weird thing that we have such a sentimentality towards these lads that have got us into this position and have been world class for 2-3 years. That's all well and good, but your previous performance shouldn't just buy you a guaranteed spot. At this current moment in time, I would say Costas Tsimikas, or I always have a bit of a trouble saying that, he's in a better form than Andrew Robertson. Andrew Robertson has had a poor season, and he plays every minute of every game really for us and Scotland. He could do with a break. Put him on the bench for a couple of games until he finds his feet again. Costas is in a great bit of form, and like Robertson, as you said, I was just waiting for the ball to go into the box, but he just kept pulling it back. Maybe that's something to do with the fact that West Ham's defense is just so strong and tall and very dominant in the air. But you have Diogo Jota in the box, who loves a little header. Like, why wasn't the ball being put into the box? But I in my opinion, Robertson should be dropped 100% for the Arsenal game, and Costas should come in.
I agree.
I'm with that. Honestly, I am. And some people in the chat talking about, Robbo's a favorite and he started. Fair point. But I also think that it's a little bit different with Ox and Thiago, because Thiago's coming back from an injury. Robbo just got the game off and Tsimikas started. He played phenomenal. So I do see the argument. Maybe Tsimikas should have started today. But I mean, it's not like, you're right. Robbo has had like back-to-back like poor performances. He just really hasn't been with it this season. Maybe you give Tsimikas a run. Honestly, I think he's deserved it. And when he's played, he's been excellent. I really haven't had anything bad to say about Tsimikas. Whereas Robertson, it's been that way for Robertson in the past. He's been damn near perfect for 5 seasons. So it's like, damn, like, what's going on? I'm glad we ended up getting a backup left back at this point.
Yeah.
At what point do we have to call out bullshit on the lack of investment? Not from the owners, because we've called that out consistently, but at what point do we have to get Jurgen Klopp to actually stand up and say, we don't have enough options, or at least he doesn't believe in the options that he has there? Because I've seen people in the chat today trying to use injuries as an excuse. And I'm sorry, I don't buy it. I bought it last year, but last year, if that did not teach us to plan for every possible eventuality in a season with 3 international breaks and an AFCON ahead of a short turnaround for next season, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it from the manager, and I don't want to hear it from the fans, Kyle. It was the owners and the manager consistently saying he doesn't need options. Who could he bring in that's better than the lads that are there? I'm sorry, but either Klopp doesn't believe what he's saying, or he looks at his bench and he's just thinking, there's nobody there that can change this game for me. And either way, it's an indictment of the fact we haven't got a deep enough squad.
Look, I see both sides of it because I am 100% thinking to myself after a performance like today, like we could totally use someone to mix it up. I mean, everyone was calling for Thiago because we could not get anything going. Thiago comes in, first couple passes, Thiago's just finding space, and you're like, that's what we need. We need a player to just come in and make a difference. So I see that side of it, but I also believe Klopp. Like you can obviously make the argument for, Ox, players like that, Minamino, Origi. Obviously, there's better players out there than them. But when you look at our starting 11, non-injured starting 11, I believe Klopp. Like who, with the exception of maybe some midfield guys, who's coming in the front three that's better?
The argument is never about the starting 11.
Yeah,
it's about a Premier League campaign. Yeah, it's about in these periods of, like, look, right now, Chelsea, no Werner, no Lukaku.
So much depth. I see what you're saying now. Yeah. And I agree with that. And you would think at the start of the season.
Even Kai Havertz at least stepping up and chipping in with some goals.
Right. And
that's look how much Kai Havertz is. Like, they're using Kai Havertz as their backup to their £100 million and £60 million. And, I was giving out when Origi and Minamino came on. I know Origi came on and scored, but at the end of the day, if you're 3-1 down at West Ham and you're bringing off Minamino and Origi and you're an aspiring Premier League winner, that is not good enough. Right. They are a level below a player of what we should be able to be bringing off the bench. They're quality, they're decent, they're fair play to them. But we should be able to bring on a level above. We're Liverpool Football Club. We just won the Premier League recently enough, Champions League as well. We have the, you know what I mean? Right. What we're dealing with, like, who could City bring off on that? City could have Bernardo Silva and fucking Riyad Mahrez coming off the bench. You know what I mean? That's the difference. I know they have more money, but Liverpool, they still should be doing better. Like Gerard Bowen, for example, we were linked with him in the summer. It should have been him pulling strings off the bench for us, not doing it for West Ham. That's the differences. Like, it's just not good enough. Our depth is not good enough. Our bench today, if you look at it, bar 2 players or 3. Tyler Morton's on the bench. Great little young player. 18 years of age. Like, that just shows how the depth is just not there, man. It's just diabolical.
No, and I agree with you. And sometimes it just takes like talking to fans like this to like realize it, because like everyone has their own mindset, and so like you would think 8 midfielders is enough depth, but even just 1 or 2 injuries, then you're like you said last week, Patty, or 2 weeks ago, bare bones. You're down to Tyler Morton on the bench, and that's a problem. I agree with that. You shouldn't have.
We know our midfielders are injury prone as well. Just look at the history. Yeah. Look at the last 4 or 5. I want to pull this up from the manager here from Jurgen Klopp. His apparent comments after the game said, Claire fell on Alisson. How can it not be? The arm from McBonnett is there. It's a red card for Cresswell. No discussion possible. I disagree with him on both.
Yeah.
I think that's just looking for an excuse, looking for a scapegoat, looking to be bailed out. At the end of the day, the keeper wasn't hungry enough and didn't want to come for the ball. The Cresswell one, it was unfortunate, but you can't. Physics is physics. So if you go in, you can't stop contact.
No. If he led with that, I agree. If it came in at that, but it just rolled up. Like, he got the ball and then it was unlucky.
Exactly.
That's not a red card at all.
Yeah.
Like, that's definitely not a red card. And maybe the foul one is still contentious.
So right. That's the still image of it. Now that
makes it look horrible.
If you showed me that, I'm saying that's a leg breaker.
Right.
Yeah. But unfortunately, football isn't played in still images. Like, that's unlucky by Cresswell, but like, he doesn't mean to do that. It rides up. It's not a red card. I disagree with Klopp on both of them, especially the red card. The foul one, listen, it depends on who you ask. I don't think so personally, and it doesn't matter. Even with those 2 variables, with those 2, we should be good enough to be winning this game. You know what I mean? We have a world-class team. It's still not good enough. Even if that is the case, even if it was a foul, even if it was a red card, we should still be able to win the game from that position. It's just excuses from Klopp.
Exactly. I think we've had the rub of the green with some decisions this season. I think VAR have been fair enough with us this season. I don't think we've been hard done by at all. I think, as Paddy said, anything that we talk about today is going to be just making excuses for the fact we weren't good enough.
Fact.
Well, yeah, exactly, absolutely. I think honestly, and to be fair,
and until I hopped on West Ham as well.
Yeah, West Ham
I completely forgot about that play, like the Henderson. Until you asked about it, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot all about that, because like it was not a factor in the outcome of the match, in my opinion. Like it really wasn't. Like, I didn't see it as a red card, so I wasn't complaining about it. I was complaining about the actual issues where we didn't execute, where Alisson wasn't making saves where he gets both hands on it. You know what I mean? Those kinds of things. Like, I just didn't think it was a red card, so I agree with both of you. Klopp's.
I understand that. I appreciate people in the chat will see it differently and speak about it differently. I respect your opinions as well. All I can do is offer you my honest opinion, and the lads are the same. You know, I was the first one to be on here calling Paul Pogba a coward for the challenge that he made. That took Naby Keita off. I was seen that coming a mile away, blatant red card. But for me, I just think you can't remove all contact from football. And if you win the ball, sometimes, you know, rolling over the top of it, or your body's going to come through. And every time a stud hits a player, it's not necessarily a red card. That's my take on it.
Yeah,
if everyone disagrees, that's all right. No problem with that. Look, how do we resolve this going forward then, gents? Because we're off into an international break. And we're back with, let's face it, another must-win game against Arsenal. And if we lose to Arsenal, lads, I mean, if we lose to Arsenal,
that's bad. That's bad.
If we draw to Arsenal, if we don't beat Arsenal, I don't care if they had won 69 million games in a row. We have to be beating Arsenal. Personally, for like people might call me reactionary. I just don't see how we can win the Premier League title, with this many points dropped already. I just feel like when the tough gets, I just feel like we don't have this, like the guile to do it. Like in those sort of positions that we're in today, we just didn't have enough to put it through. I don't know what it is. If it's a mentality issue, if it's fatigue, I don't know what it is. It's just going to be tough from this point. To be 4 points behind already, and every chance we have on capitalising on City dropping points or Chelsea dropping points, we failed. So that doesn't bode well.
Well, let's just say, just to placate the people in the chat, let's say Cresswell gets sent off. Let's say it happens. Let's say they look at it and they send them off. Anybody confident we can beat 10 men?
And I think it actually would be harder to score then. Usually,
because they're going to do the same thing. They're just going to sacrifice an attacking player.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. We could have been out there a lot longer. I don't think we would have scored many more goals.
They were just so narrow, so deep.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
narrow and deep. They really, yeah. I actually probably would have played into West Ham a little bit more. They would have just defended even more.
Two attackers who were willing to chase down our centre-backs and full-backs when we had the ball in possession. They had two banks of four behind that. Yeah. And what we need to do is make sure that our full-backs or our wide players are hugging the touch lines on either side, move the ball quickly, try and create overloads at the far post. Didn't do any of that. And look, the really annoying thing for me is, in a game where you want somebody to do that, who's your first thought? Who's the first player you think, get the ball, move it, do these things, unlock a low block defense? It's probably Thiago Alcantara. And where's he? Getting splinters on his arse.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I tell you, a game like today, we did miss Bobby Firmino today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very much so. He's the guy. He's the key to unlock Mane and Salah, you know, in that space. Nothing against Jota, but it would have been great to have Firmino. Just listen, we can't do anything with that. It is what it is.
Hey, dickhead! Who the fuck said they play better, you absolute gobshite? What I said was, would it have been any easier to score against them and break them down, you fucking twat? Case in point, Chelsea. 10 men. Did we score? Did we fuck? So rather than saying, are you stupid, you dumb little cabbage, how about listening to what was said, you fucking Omadon? Don't start at me today, princess. Sorry, lads. I just hate dickheads like that who think they're smart arses in the chat.
Yeah, I think he was kind of talking about what I said, to be honest.
In which case, I've got your back, Paddy. I've got your back. Paddy, we're due a German, mate. We're due a German.
We're due a German, yeah, absolutely. Fuck's sake.
Look, last thing before we finish up, lads, I want to just talk about the manager, because I think we can't let Liverpool's manager go without a little bit of critique today as well. You know, either from the team selection, the lateness of the substitutions, or the transfer side of it. Either way, fair to say that the lads weren't at it today. And why is it that some teams with a low block, it's like kryptonite for us, and some teams were able to pick them apart? If we don't get the early goal, that's usually where I worry against these type of teams. Exactly. The more they go on, Kyle, the more confidence they seem to get.
Yeah, and it's because I really think it's because we're lacking that creativity from a Thiago in the midfield, because when they're narrow, when they're deep, we just go out wide. We give it to Trent, we give it to Robbo, we try to swing crosses into the box, and most of the time they're just going to clear it. And that's what was happening today. They just cleared it. Like, we got a lucky bounce to Origi for that goal. Yeah. It just kind of deflected, came to him, and he scored. If it wasn't for the lucky deflection, we really would have had nothing. We relied on a free kick for Trent to score. We need...
It's our midfield's being bypassed. We're really suffering with midfield injuries. I'm not making it, but like a midfield three of Henderson, Fabinho, and Oxlade-Chamberlain doesn't inspire me particularly.
No.
and I don't think it's going to inspire Sadio Mane or Mohamed Salah or Diogo Jota. You know, we've Naby Keita. Oh God,
I miss that man.
Beautiful. You know, and Thiago. Why is Thiago? If he's fit enough for the fucking bench, start him. Like that midfield three is not good enough. You had that Thiago in from the start. You don't know. It could have been a totally different game. You really don't know because he gives you that little salsa, the little. Salsa.
The salsa. No, that's perfect.
Salsa, yes.
Salsa. Yeah.
My argument there is if he's fit enough to play 30 or 40, give him 60. Give him the first 60.
Exactly.
Let us get control of the game.
The formula of 60, the main was, as you said, it's when we start well against. If we had scored early today, we could have went and won 4-0. You never. That's what happens with us. We score early and then we see blood and then we go for the kill. But then the opposite happened today. We started sluggish, we started bad, and it said that I didn't enjoy 1 minute of that game today. Well, when Trent scored, I did. Other than that, it was a depression session.
Yeah, it felt, Kyle, from early doors when they got that first goal that it might be one of these days.
Really, that was the problem, I think. I think that was really, it completely put a hole in our game plan because you're right. We like to attack early, and there was really no continuity. There was no rhythm to the game up until the first goal. And then the goal goes in. It's a mistake. It's a toss up for like, is it a 50-50? Is it a foul? Is it not a foul? It just ruined the momentum, and I feel like it definitely destroyed our mentality for the rest of the game. I really think that's what happened.
Lads, we got to leave it there, unfortunately, because I can't face talking about any more of this game.
I'm going to have a cold shower and cry.
I'm the same, Paddy. I'm the same. But I will be making sure to get on to Surfshark later on, ladies and gentlemen. If you want the League Cup game against Leicester, not on TV anywhere, you want to get creative, you want to find a way to watch it, Surfshark. Link in the description. 83% off, 3 months extra free. I promise you won't regret it. Works out about $150 a month. Best use of data encryption and best possible VPN provider there is out there. Look, thank you so much to Paddy. Paddy, what have you got coming up over the international break, mate? Any watch-alongs on TikTok or?
We'll probably find something. TikTok videos. And I'll be doing shite somewhere, but I want to go into hiding for a while now. I'm not going on TikTok anymore for the night.
And for yourself, Kyle, what's going on with Nothing But Reds and coming up?
Goal reactions as always. Not sure how exciting they'll be to watch, but we're going to put them up anyway. And then over the international break, I might do the same thing as Paddy. I might hide out, might take a break, might decompress. I think we might need it.
Yeah.
I was trying to let my missus book a holiday for Tuesday and she wouldn't do it. I might revisit that one because I need a break after that. I tell you. Look, ladies and gentlemen, wasn't the performance that we wanted, but it's only fair that we give credit to West Ham and David Moyes for a thoroughly deserved 3 points. We'll be back after the international break. We'll have videos over the international break as well, but look, it's not Liverpool, so it is what it is. Thank you to Paddy. Thank you to Kyle. Thank you to the sponsor, Surfshark. Thank you to you guys for watching. We will talk to you soon. Up the Reds.